Sometimes I feel like I'm back in 5th grade when I put on the old Jordan 1 double straps. These are probably my favorite shoes that I own, and at this point have turned into a great pair of work shoes. Hey, hope you guys are doing well. A couple goals for the bus in the next couple days for me are to try to really tackle the roof. So we have a factory white roof on the bus, which typically is a great thing. White, of course, is super reflective. The problem is our bus is old enough that factory roof job has really started to fail. Some major flaking in some spots, particularly around some of the rivets. And then the biggest problem is, caulk that's 20 years old or so that needs to be scraped out, resealed probably with some Sikaflex. And then I've got some marker lights that are leaking, and that also isn't incredibly uncommon. So I'm actually gonna pull them out and replace them with some actual LED marker lights. Got a couple Max Air fans that I'm excited to tackle, get those installed. We're actually going to pull out both of the emergency hatches and replace those with some sheet metal, and then cut in a 14-inch square so that the new Max Air fans will go in both of the spots where the roof hatches currently are. Got a couple other ideas planned for the roof, and I'm excited actually to get one of them in the mail. I sort of stumbled on it, and I felt like it answered a couple questions of some things that I wanted, but I'm gonna hold tight to that little secret until it shows up. One big thing for me on this project is to try to tackle the outside as much as possible. I've got some stuff, again, especially up on the roof in terms of my solar racks and whatnot, that I really wanna try to navigate my way while the ceiling on the inside of the bus is still opened up. One of the mistakes, I don't know if I'd call it a mistake, but maybe a bit more of just an issue that I made with our first bus build was that I was so excited to build this interior that I had a finished ceiling all done before I had decided to do a couple things like install some extra Max Air units. I had done this center one from the beginning, but decided that I wanted to do a couple more. And so I did that, my solar panels, all of which can be done even if you have a finished roof on the inside, but it's definitely nicer when everything on the inside is still opened up. So my goal this time around is to really try to tackle as much of the roof stuff as possible before I even start working on the inside of this bus. I got plans, I got things that I know that I want to do, but I figure that if I can do all of these things while I've got the access to what we have here, it's just ultimately going to make things easier. So spending some time up on the roof in these next couple days, again, sanding, scraping, prepping. Gonna paint some of the edges of the roof immediately with some Henry's Enviro-white. I've got some actually left over from our last bus build, which is one of the advantages sometimes of doing a second build. You have product that you never ended up using all of, and so you can reuse some of it. So gonna get some Henry's Enviro-white up on some of those edges, and then when the new 5-gallon bucket shows up in the mail, a completely new coat on top of the old factory roof with the new Henry's Enviro-white. Now I'm going with Enviro-white. I know Tropicool is what a lot of people end up using for their bus builds, and honestly, I'm the kind of person that sometimes overthinks things. I ask a lot of questions. In fact, if you're a schoolie friend of mine, you've probably at any given time had me shoot you all sorts of questions about all kinds of random things, because I'm usually looking for what other people's thoughts are when it comes to certain questions that I'm having, and the roof coating was one of them. I did Enviro-white the first time on that bus build, and then I forgot why I did that versus the Henry's Tropicool, and I started moving forward with the idea of doing the Tropicool on this bus roof, and then I shifted gears and decided to end up doing what I did on this roof, which was the very top is an actual coating of the Henry's Enviro-white. And so I've actually spent the last couple days posting in a couple forums, asking a couple people questions about their experiences, and was really reminded that one of the drawbacks that I remember hearing about Tropicool is that because it's silicone based, it becomes incredibly difficult to stick anything to it once it's done, i.e. you better know where everything's going on that roof, because if you need to reseal something at some point, it just maybe becomes a bit more difficult when you have that silicone-based roof coating. The nice thing about the Enviro-white is that it's an acrylic-based material, which means once it dries, it doesn't maintain that super slippery silicone-based top coat, which means you can still attach things to it. I'm always concerned, you know, what if I have to replace a vent fan? What if something dies and I need to rip it out and put in something new? And I'd like to be able to maintain, obviously, the ability to seal my roof. Now, again, I might be totally overthinking that, but my experience with Enviro-white was positive, and so I think I'm going to actually go with that again on my roof. It also, Enviro-white does a great job not attracting dirt and dust like silicone does, and so that's going to be my coating of choice this time around again. And like I said, I've actually got some left over in a bucket from the first conversion that I've kept in storage, in dry storage, and so it's actually still good and ready to go. So my goal is to hop up on the roof, get some sanding done, try to get some stuff recaulked, and then maybe start to just work around the edges of the roof as much as possible to at least start to get that Enviro-white on the edges. And then I got a new 5-gallon bucket coming in the mail that we'll use to do the rest of the roof. Welcome to my shop. It's a little messy. I'm working on my house a ton. Here's what I got. DeWalt cordless sander. Nice little rough pad to try to get as much of the rust off as possible. And then some good old classic. Of course, they're stuck. There it goes. Some good old classic wire brushes, which end up being super helpful to get some of that rust off. This is from the first conversion, but the old magic eraser for sure. So I'm going to get these out and start plugging away, like I said, at some of that rust on the top. Got a little bit just hanging out on some of the corners. Most of this has been sealed already from the previous owner, but it definitely needs to be sanded in some corners, and then the whole thing gone over with a lighter sand than this, just to get it ready for a roof coating. Especially, we're talking about this kind of stuff here. Just have a little bit of, you know, chipping that's happening. So we're going to get as much of that sanded as possible and try to get this cleaned up. My batteries died. Bummer. I think one of the best things you can do is have a cordless system that all takes the same batteries. Do yourself a favor. Sell what you have on Facebook Marketplace, buy a bunch of stuff that matches. That's my theory. Not done. That part done. Sanded, roughed up. Losing light here pretty quick. I'm gonna jump down on the edge and just nail these little edge pieces. My goal really today was just to, honestly, it's kind of the first time I've been up here to really start to figure out kind of the shape of the roof itself. Hasn't been washed in a while. You can tell, probably parked under some shade, which is why you get some of that kind of organic matter, mold, lichen, that kind of stuff growing on it. So not too bad though. Decent little sanding, and we'll get some Henry's Tropicool, which you can't see super well, but on our original bus, this is normal automotive paint. And then right starting at that curve, those are drip edges, but right at that curve, it shifts just a little bit of the tone and color. Because I have Henry's Tropicool on the very top, which is a great insulator. Man, that first bus is awfully pretty. What the heck am I doing?